If you conceal carry a firearm really anywhere in the country, but especially here in a state like New Jersey, buckle up because I have some groundbreaking updates for you. We're diving into a massive federal court ruling recently that has huge implications on whether or not you and I are able to legally carry our concealed handgun into a United States post office. But before you go get those free priority boxes to build a homemade fort at home with your kids, there may be a huge catch, especially here in New Jersey, and it could potentially all vanish tomorrow. Stick around, let's break it down, give you some background, and tell you exactly what it means for us in the great state of New Jersey. Let's get to it. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you did not already know, my name's Jay Casa, and I am just a red-blooded American patriot, like many of you, living behind enemy lines here in the great state of New Jersey. And if you get value after watching this video, please smash that like button down below and also consider subscribing, because we still have over 80% of you watching these videos that are not subscribed. And there's no reason for you not to be subscribed. So hit that subscribe button. It's a quick, free, and easy way to support the channel and help me get these videos out to you as much as possible every single week. All right, so let's set the stage with some history on this, because you can't appreciate this monumental win without knowing how far back it goes. So back in 1968, Congress passed what's called the Omnibus Crime Control and Safe Streets Act, which included a blanket ban on firearms in federal facilities. This made it a total no-go to bring loaded firearms into postal property or inside post offices. We're talking everything from your local branch to these big sorting hubs that they have. Now, obviously, this wasn't a suggestion, of course. It was a federal felony to carry there, even if, of course, you had a carry permit. This ban has been in place for over 50 years now, treating everyday Americans like you and me like suspected felons just for mailing a package while exercising our God-given right to self-defense. And this applied nationwide, overriding state laws in one way or the other in many cases. So if you lived in a shall-issue state like Texas, or even constitutional carry states, tough luck. You step inside with your firearm into the US Post Office and boom, you are an instant felon. Now, of course, this ban wasn't about protecting postal workers. It was classic government overreach, ignoring and of course undermining and trying to kill the Second Amendment. We've been dealing with this for 50 years, over 50 years, like I said. Who stepped up to the plate to challenge this 50-year overreach law? Well, that's where the Second Amendment Foundation, or SAF, and the Firearms Policy Coalition, FPC, come in. These are two tremendous, great organizations that fight for our Second Amendment rights across the country. They filed suit in federal court in the Northern District of Texas. The case was named FPC versus Garland, who was the, of course, Attorney General at the time in 2024, challenging this post office firearm regulation. Now, the argument was straightforward as far as my non-legal mind can see, and was obviously backed by the Bruin decision. Post offices are not schools, they're not prisons, or even government buildings loaded with sensitive secrets of some sort. They're public spaces open to all, and there's zero historical precedent from the founding era for banning arms there. So the feds, represented by Merrick Garland's DOJ in 2024, tried to wiggle out with their usual safety concerns, but luckily it was not bought by the court. And why would they buy this? Where's the history of regulating arms in the post office that you need to show post-Bruin? Show me the 1787 Post Office Disarmament Act. You can't. This fight proves the tide is turning against these outdated bans. Then, recently on September 30th, Chief U.S. District Judge Reed O'Connor dropped the hammer that we've all been waiting for. In a summary judgment for SAF and FPC, he declares the post office gun ban unconstitutional as applied to carrying firearms inside or on the property of ordinary post offices. Ordinary meaning normal post office locations, not part of like a military base or larger federal property of some sort. Now, in response, SAF stated this: SAF was very pleased about the news of our victory in this case. Our reading of the ruling and accompanying order is that the injunction applies to post offices nationally for all individuals who are members of SAF and/or FPC. However, it is best to consult with a lawyer in your area to confirm the scope of the injunction covers the post office you frequent. Now, needless to say, this is a major win for our Second Amendment rights. There is no reason, of course, to restrict concealed carry in a post office. It's just a retail location open to the public that the federal government owns, where you may need the right to self-defense. And furthermore, there's no historical basis to support a firearm restriction in post offices. Post offices predate the founding of the United States and have never had a ban or restriction on arms until recently, historically speaking, about 50 years ago. In fact, going back to 1792, Congress passed a law punishing anyone who stole post office property or mail, parcels, or whatever, and actually made it punishable by death. So back in 1792, they knew of the threat that post offices could be faced with, especially back then, as almost all correspondence was done by snail mail, right, as we call it now. But knowing these grave threats at the time, did they decide to ban arms in a post office location? Of course they did not. This is more than just being able to carry while buying stamps. It's a crack in the federal facility armor. So suddenly, places like courthouses or parks might be next on the docket. Gun owners like us nationwide are celebrating for good reason, but SAF does warn that their eyes, as I mentioned, are peeled for appeals. The DOJ could seek a stay any second, basically, from the district court, which could immediately make it illegal to carry in a post office again for the time being. Now, how does this affect us here in New Jersey? Well, as many of you already probably know, we have a laundry list of so-called sensitive places that we are not allowed to carry in. And I was concerned that somehow a post office or like a federal building restriction would still be in that overfilled laundry hamper of crap that we have to deal with, but it's actually not. Post offices are not specifically listed in the New Jersey Sensitive Places Statute. So for now, you can carry in New Jersey in a post office as long as you have a membership to the SAF or the FPC. But that is, as I mentioned, likely to change, at least temporarily, after an appeal is presented. So please pay attention to updates. This order could get stayed at any moment, or the feds might beg for clarification of some sort. But for us in the Garden State, this means concealed carriers with a valid New Jersey permit and SAF or FPC membership can walk into your local USPS local store, as long as it's not part of another federal facility. You can carry concealed. Imagine that, mailing your Christmas cards without having to park a block away like I do and remove your holster in your car like a criminal. But once again, the clock's ticking. New Jersey's Attorney General, I have less than zero confidence in. His office is probably already drafting challenges because that's all he does to make himself feel useful and maybe a little bit taller. Remember, this is why organizations like the FPC, the SAF, as well as here in New Jersey, the New Jersey Firearm Owners Syndicate matter. They're in the trenches for us. So if you are not a member of any or all of these, please consider doing so. Bottom line, this is a fragile situation right now, but go enjoy your Second Amendment rights as much as you can while you can. Carry responsibly and join the cause with these great organizations. Here you have it, guys, a tremendous win for us, which could translate to much, much more if we keep fighting. Now, if this fired you up, once again, smash that like button, comment down below. Let me know what you think down below. Are you going to be carrying in the post office anytime soon? And are you already a member of SAF or FPC? I'll put a link to those if you're not in the description box down below so you can go check them out at your convenience. I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in as always, and I will see you next time.